Welcome to the webinar today. Thank you very much for joining. My name is David McBride from Course 5 Intelligence, and I am excited to share with you today some great content courtesy of Carlos Savino, who is VP of Americas e-commerce at Lenovo. Carlos is going to share with us some of his tips and tricks and secrets about how Lenovo strengthens customer relationships with analytics, and we're excited to have him here. Before we do that, a quick note about Course 5. At Course 5 Intelligence, we support digital transformation through analytics, insights, and artificial intelligence. We work with Fortune 500 companies like Lenovo and agencies in key regions such as the US, EU, the Middle East, and Asia Pacific. Rapid advances in artificial intelligence and machine learning technology have enabled us to create disruptive technologies and accelerators that combine analytics, digital, and research solutions to provide significant and long-term value to our clients. A few housekeeping items. We will be recording this session, and it will be available on our website, course5i.com, and we will also be emailing a link to you in about a week's time. We invite you to continue the conversation on Twitter using the hashtag #StrengtheningCustomerAnalytics. You can ask questions at any time using the Q&A panel in the control panel of the screen. We'll address questions in the latter portion of today's session. We have a time frame of about 45 minutes together today and hope that you'll stay with us throughout. With that, let me introduce you to Carlo. Carlo is an experienced senior e-commerce leader and marketing executive with a distinguished and proven track record of managing large professional organizations. With a strong results-driven focus, his business-to-consumer experience focuses on online e-commerce, testing and optimization, web analytics, advertising, landing page optimization, and lead generation. He has extensive experience in planning, product marketing, product management, business development, and sales, and has demonstrated an ability to develop and maintain key talent in highly complex organizations. Carlo's been with Lenovo for a little less than 4 years, and before that he was at Dell for about 16 years. He has a BA from UT Austin in zoology and is a fan of music, especially the Beastie Boys. I hope I got that right, Carlo.
You did, thank you. And hearing all of that, it definitely makes me feel like there's some inflation there in my job description, in my experience. But yes, thank you. That is comprehensive. So thank you, David and Course 5 team. My name is Carlo Savino. I have the privilege of managing the Americas business, which includes our North America, US, and Canada businesses, as well as 6 countries in Latin America and Brazil. A little bit about Lenovo, I thought it was good to share because a lot of people don't even know who Lenovo is as an umbrella organization. But Lenovo is a technology provider focusing on PCs, data centers, and in consumer electronics. We have some major brands. We are #1 in the world in terms of PC shipments. In North America, we are #3. And for those of you that don't know Lenovo, you may know us by some of our sort of series of products, primarily ThinkPad, which is an acquisition from IBM many years ago, Legion, which is our gaming portfolio, Yoga, which is our premium consumer portfolio, focusing on sort of convertible PCs, IdeaPad, which is the value product within the consumer business. And then we own and operate Motorola.com. There are a number of other things, but those are sort of the key brands that reside under the Lenovo umbrella. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I think it would be good to, I wanted to start off with a little bit of a poll and get some feedback from the team members here, from the audience. And thank you guys, everybody, for spending your time with us today. I hope you get value out of this conversation that we have and some of the learnings that we've made at Lenovo as we continue with our journey in really being a world-class destination for electronics for consumers and small businesses. So first question should be on everybody's screen. Would love to get to see the feedback on what is the top thing that you want to improve on your e-commerce site over the next year, or top things. It's multiple choice. So we'll wait a minute to get those. Here we go. Survey says, look at that. Wow, pretty evenly split there. Personalization, retention, improving product content, evolving online value proposition, and the winner was optimizing e-commerce funnel productivity, which is a mouthful, but good. This is lots of great feedback there. Hopefully, what we've learned may help you guys or help others in their journey on how to leverage customer data points in improving all of these dimensions here. So very good to see that. And we'll have one more poll at the end here as we finish up. So I think it's one of the things I wanted to start with was just a recognition that within our industry, it's a really interesting product and purchase lifecycle. And similar to other types of categories of products, and the one that comes to mind, or the couple that come to mind are automobile purchases, car purchases, and mattress purchases. These are things that you typically buy once. They're high average order value purchases. You spend an awful lot of time thinking through and researching before you purchase. And then typically you spend very little time actually in the bottom of the funnel, kind of deciding where you want to go purchase. Typically it's really around who gives you the best price and who has the quickest turnaround to get the product to you. And then you, quite frankly, from a business standpoint, go dormant in many cases because you've got your product, you're happy with it, and you plan on keeping it for many years. That is typical of what we see within the PC lifecycle. And so within our own business, we see people refreshing their products within about a 3 to 5 year time horizon, which complicates things because, quite honestly, what we will see is you will be very active within our sort of purchase and consideration funnel for a very short amount of time. It makes it very difficult to go personalize information. Makes it very difficult to be able to go provide the right types of content for you and for people that are in this very narrow window. And then you'll leave. And we won't see you again for another 3 to 5 years. And that's very typical within our consumer business, slightly less so within our small business customers. What was interesting as we looked at this, no different, but what was interesting that we looked at over the last 16 to 18 months, quite frankly, is an extraordinary growth in new customers, right? We have been very privileged in that we have a highly passionate, highly dedicated set of customers that buy from us over and over and over again. But with the reduction in availability for customers to go into stores, it pushed a lot of customers into e-commerce, and quite frankly, pushed a lot of customers that were unfamiliar with the brand or our product portfolio into our business, into our e-commerce business. So we saw about a 40% increase in new customers since COVID. What was really important for us was cost of acquisition is extraordinarily high in our business, as I'm sure it is in many businesses like ours, maybe even some of your businesses. What was really important for us was to not only find ways to address the new needs of these customers that were quite different than the needs of our existing customers, but how do we actually drive a value conversation and have much more substantive discussions and content, et cetera, to keep people sort of conversing with us, talking to us in our marketing and feedback pipeline. And I'm really proud to see that at least initially, we've seen about a 72% increase in retention from those new customers, even within that 16 to 18 month window, which is quite interesting for us and quite a big accomplishment. You know, what's really important to us is as we look at customer experience, and you'll see that we poll our customers in many different ways, and it starts with understanding it throughout the entire product lifecycle and purchase lifecycle, all the way from the very beginnings of your interest in us as a brand or our products as solutions to your needs. All the way down into renew. And at every single touch point in there is a mechanism in place at an enterprise level to solicit feedback, whether it's in surveys that we send out, whether it's in on-site engagement questions that we have, whether it's in post-purchase surveys, whether it's in email requests. We have a number of customer advisory councils where we actually go ask large businesses and small businesses alike to provide us feedback on our experience and our product portfolio. All of that is generated at a macro level, and in e-commerce we make use of that really across not only how do we develop the right content for our products, but how do we optimize our online experience to make sure that we're meeting not only our existing and legacy customer needs, but the evolving needs of a new set of customers that may not be as familiar with us as a brand, or have never bought from an e-commerce business before, certainly not a large average order value type of product. So we do have a wide variety of ways that we interact with customers that starts at the enterprise level and cascades down into things that we actually use day to day for e-commerce. So when we look at it relative within the context of our e-commerce business, we get 7 million pieces of customer feedback a year, and that comes through a variety of proactive and reactive mechanisms. Online forums are a fantastic way to understand customer sentiment. Tech support emails, call transcripts, chats, surveys, bizarre voice and ratings and reviews, emails to executives and emails to our teams in general. We use data mining within the voice and chat queues to be able to go uncover opportunities. And then we formalize some of the online forum and survey feedback into actionable analytics for us. And that allows us to be able to meet, quite frankly, to talk about things that we are learning, things that are emerging as opportunities for us, and then put on our roadmap, both from a merchandising, from an IT perspective, and as importantly, from a product perspective, improvements that we can make in meeting our customer needs over time. And I'll talk about some specific examples about how that actually turned those insights turn into deliverables and results. We ask customers a lot of things. And what you'll see here on the CX Insights Hub is this is a formalized way, and I've obfuscated the data to some degree, but this is a formalized way for us to understand really at a total Lenovo level, the customer sentiment across every portion of that journey. So it starts with how well how well are we doing on the evaluate spectrum, all the way down to the post-purchase and the support spectrum. And this gets refreshed on a monthly basis. So it gives us a very high macro view of a quick snapshot of some urgent pain points that our customers have, and we can start to go, as I said, work with cross-functional teams and develop action plans based on some of these challenges in our business. I mentioned that with the 43% increase in new customers, one thing that we quickly realized was the content strategy that we had put together and the site experience strategy that we had developed over the years, frankly, wasn't meeting these new customer needs or expectations. Because for two things. One is, as I said, most customers may not have been familiar with us as a brand, and were looking for us as a way to quickly get technology in their hands, whether it was to meet a learn from home or work from home need. In our industry, there have been some pretty significant supply constraints, and so many customers were going to different places, us included, to go find a store that can actually get them PCs or technology so that there could be continuity in managing their business from home, or allowing their children to learn from home. So what we realized was we had about 5 dimensions where we really had to go improve things, and that was content around product performance and value. Our website, as many other PC technology websites, really focuses on speeds and feeds. And we've tried to go develop, and we're in our nascent stages, and it'll get better over time. We've tried to go develop much more usage-based content and advisory content online, rather than focusing on speeds and feeds. Again, for people who are not necessarily as tech savvy as some of our legacy customers. We also recognize that there are things that we can do in site experience. So responsiveness, comparative content for new researchers. It was funny because we had spent the 2.5 years prior to COVID talking about how do we improve our mobile site experience, because you were starting to see much greater mobile penetration. But what we saw with COVID was everybody was working from home and on desktops a lot and on laptop devices, and we saw sort of mobile penetration kind of fall fall pretty precipitously, starting to rebound as things opened up. It hasn't changed our strategy about optimizing mobile, but it definitely was a bit of a shock to the system that says, let's continue to work on mobile, but we certainly need to do for the next 12 to 18 months, we really need to focus on our desktop experience and improve that. And then one thing that I'm very passionate about is driving retention and driving loyalty. So we really started to go develop a much more robust loyalty program that is focused as much on giving people a reason to come back as it was and purchase with us, as it was a reason to be able to go have ongoing conversations with them. And I'll talk a little bit about how we operationalize that. But within within our loyalty program, we actually have very frequent conversations and solicit feedback quite frequently from these customers and get a lot of really great insights on things that we can do, both from a loyalty program and how do we iterate on that, as well as from an online standpoint and in our product portfolio. And then post-purchase experience. This is a really important one, a little bit outside of our purview on the tech support side. But it's not lost on me that American Express has said that a unhappy customer will tell 11 to 15 people about their experience. A happy customer will tell 3 or 4. So it really is important to be able to understand how easy is it to get support for a customer's purchase, and how can we constantly improve on that over time, because we want to make sure that that customer satisfaction NPS remain high, and that we can leverage satisfied customers to advocate on our behalf, rather than spending more money to go drive acquisition. One of the things that I wanted to showcase was on the product side, just to show how insights turn into action, is we really believe that our ThinkPad, in particular X1 Carbon, is our Halo product. And one of the components that I think makes it so special is its keyboard. And you can see that we had been scoring customer sentiment around the keyboard for many generations, and got some really great feedback on it, and used that feedback to improve the keyboard feel, to improve the keyboard responsiveness, etc. And I'm really glad to see that when we look at it on a scale of 1 to 10, that we've gone from 30% of customers being satisfied with it to 70% plus, and I think we'll get some feedback on the 9th gen here pretty soon, but I expect that will continue to grow. So this is a good example of really using data to improve our value to customers and improve the technology that we deliver on their behalf. The other one that I wanted to talk about was retention. I will say, if I was part of that poll earlier, I would tell you that the one of the things that keeps me up at night is how do we retain the customers that have come to us in the past year and a half, and keep them talking to us, and in our marketing and conversation funnel. Loyalty is a huge part of that, and we launched a loyalty program. It'll be 2 years ago in September. And over the past year, it has just been explosive growth. And one of the value is really around exclusivity. The value is around making people feel like they are unique, giving people a reason to come back and purchase from us again, leveraging rewards. And we will continue to iterate on that over time, and that value proposition over time. But the KPIs and the deliverables we've seen out of it are truly outstanding. Time spent on site, return rate, NPS, so Net Promoter Score versus non-loyalty customers, is about 50% better. And then one of the things, because my job is to keep the cash register ringing, is revenue per visit for loyalty customers is about 60% higher than non-loyalty customers. So that's across both new and existing customer bases. So great performance so far. And when I mentioned earlier that we like to have conversations with our customers, we've been asking them, what more, how do you want to see this program evolve? What more can we do to add value to it? What's important to you? Do you like exclusivity? Do you like being, kind of first to know about things? Do you like being do you like being part of advisory councils, et cetera? So these are things that, these are questions that we ask quite frequently, get lots of great feedback on, and put it into a roadmap on continuing to go iterate on this value proposition for loyalty and our loyalty program. The other thing is, we talked about post-purchase, and we have a care organization that I think is very passionate about customers. We also have a business that, quite frankly, grew an e-commerce business that grew much faster than I think most people expected to, and it really did uncover some significant process challenges within our business, and the two of them that really bubbled up as detractors were price match guarantee. And that is, we have a commitment to our customers that if you purchase something and you find the same product for a lower price within 30 days, we will match the price for you. That is the type of buy with confidence that I think is really customer centric. But we were failing at being able to go turn around those requests in a timely fashion. And you can see that a customer requested, it would take us 7 business days to go do it. That is terrible. And so when we started to go see that this was a problem, we threw everything in the kitchen sink at it, improved some of the processes, staffed it up, augmented the staffing. And what we've seen since that 7 business day is down to 1 business day. Very big success. Since November, we've been able to go sustain that 1 business day turnaround on those price match requests, and we're seeing customer satisfaction improve accordingly. The second one, and this is even a bigger deal, and I'm reluctant to share, but listen, we can talk about warts and all about each one of our businesses. This is buying a computer is a very expensive proposition, and we have extraordinarily low return rates. But one of the things that we were struggling with was, when somebody returned, it would take over 20 business days to give them their money back. And that is unacceptable for 2 reasons. One is, customer expectations are, even with Amazon, you put the box in the mail and they credit your card the minute that it scans into UPS. But also because these are very high average order value products, and we're tying up capital on people's credit cards. Unacceptable by any measure. So we realized very, very quickly that we had to go fix this. It is a work in progress. We are down to 7 to 8 business days right now, down from greater than 20, with a plan in the next, I would call it 90 days, to get us under 5. Not where we want to be over the long term, certainly not best in class by any measure across the e-commerce landscape, but improvements that we're making, and we think will have a meaningful impact on customer experience, and hopefully encourage them to come back and buy from us at a later time. And I want to end on this one, which is, and I'm sorry I've been blowing through this, but there's a lot of things to talk about. I couldn't do it justice with 7 slides, but I really do believe that customers are our most valuable asset, and we talk a lot about building from the customer back. I think there are 4 dimensions to how we are continuing to go improve upon this, and it's a journey. And we've I would say that we start on it every single day. No matter how much progress we've made, it's always a restart and a drive to improve it over time. But I mentioned that retention was a pretty critical part of our long-term strategy. How do we retain these customers? I want to make sure that we have a very active existing install base as we continue to go drive acquisition. So what are we doing around retention? What are you doing around retention to keep those customers active in your marketing and conversion funnels? The other thing is, I've found that exclusivity is extraordinarily powerful with customers. Everybody wants to feel like, many people want to feel like they are special, myself included. And there's very small things that you can do as a e-commerce business to be able to pay that off. And I used one very specific example in here, a very simple example, which is a birthday greeting from an e-commerce business through email marketing. Actually makes people feel better about the brand in general. It seems a bit self-serving, but 75% of customers that get a happy birthday message from a brand think more highly of the brand. I don't know what that says about us as end user consumers, but it's a very small, very cheap way to drive mind share with customers and sentiment with customers. The other thing that we are trying to go do a much better job of, and we are in the very early stages of this, is how do we differentiate? We talk about setting ourselves apart from the competition, which I think every business to some degree does. I think what we are trying to go evolve into is how do we set ourselves apart, not relative to the competition, but relative to end user needs. That is a sea change in how we start to go develop content, where we're not necessarily talking about how we're better than OEM A, B, or C, but actually how we're talking about the thought that goes into our products and how the thought that goes into our products manifests itself in the product portfolio, and then ultimately how those things that we've heard from customers actually help them meet their business, personal, gaming, learn perspectives and solutions over time. So that's the content side is important, as well as continuing to add value into our loyalty program over time, and then ultimately with the intent to go drive grassroots advocacy. I think there are a number of companies out there that come to mind at a global level that have fantastically energized base of customers who advocate strongly on their behalf. And these businesses, Xiaomi in China is a great example of this, where they don't necessarily have to spend a lot of money on marketing. Their very active customer base does that, quite frankly, on their behalf. Tesla is another good example. No marketing budget; it's all word of mouth. So, we need to do a better job of that here at Lenovo, and I'm sure that's a common issue a lot against across a lot of companies. So, anyway, my apologies. I went long on that. Hopefully, that gave you a sense of what we're working on and some of the progress we made. Not good enough. Never is good enough for us, but hopefully that helped give a little bit of context. So, I think I'm going to end my portion. I think we're going to go into a second poll here. Yes. So we're going to ask for one more piece of feedback.
Carlo, awesome. Great overview. I love to see how you're taking data, but you're thinking about the customer. All of the initiatives that you've made so much progress on are supported by data and analysis, but the focus is on how do you use that to make a difference for the customer. Yes. And that's very clear. Everything that you're talking about here over the course of these slides, these initiatives are all very customer oriented, and that's really cool. So if we are ready with the other poll, we have another question. There it is. Cool. So think about a brand that has earned your loyalty. Carlo alluded to a few or mentioned a few of them. What do they do that keeps you coming back? And maybe not coming back for Teslas, but it could be anything. Although maybe some people out there have multiple Teslas. Do you keep coming back because they're a low price leader, because they offer innovative products? Do they understand you? Do they take good care of you? Does the loyalty program make you feel special? So please go ahead. We'll take a minute here and you can select your preference, and then we'll see what people on the call have to say about that. Let's go ahead and see those results as soon as there's critical mass there. There we go. Innovative products taking the lead. It looks like 41% of our respondents feel connected to a brand because of the product. So product-led innovation, but certainly good representation across all of these. So I think that's actually an interesting place to start our Q&A section, Carlo. I'd be curious to dig into this a little bit more. And you alluded to this concept of listening to people, and at the very beginning, you talked about the many listening posts that you've integrated into one platform. Sometimes people just want to be heard. Is there any examples that you've come across that sort of tap into that sentiment?
Where people want to be heard?
Yeah. Just a representation of the fact that they just want to be listened to, even if they know maybe they don't expect you to fix the problem right away, but they just want to know that you're hearing them.
Yeah, I think so 3 examples come to mind. I won't spend too much time talking about the number of times that I get executive escalations on a problem that customers have, and they want to feel like they're heard, and they want to feel like they're solving that their problem doesn't manifest itself for other people. I think there's two. One is we have a fairly robust social listening organization, and for e-commerce sites that have active social, organic social pages and handles, It's a great place to get a snapshot of customer sentiment. And one of the things that I'm most proud of is on the we try to do our best to answer each one of those. So at an individual level, we make sure that if somebody's leaving us feedback that on a purchase, good or bad, we try to reach out to them directly and try to go get more details on it. Because what's interesting, the really interesting thing is the scale that that social media has on a single voice, right? And I'm thinking about one example where, and you may recall this, there was a US Air destroyed a guy's guitar. They threw it on the ground some time ago, and he took a video of it, posted it to Twitter or Facebook, and got 13 million people to view it. And so one person's voice can have extraordinary reach in this sort of new social landscape. So it's important to make sure that there's a constant 360 feedback loop on organic social handles. The second one is we've been told, I mean, our customers are telling us, hey, we want you to do something better. So we want you to see an improvement in A, B, and C, whether it's through any of these surveys. So we can go ask them directly in an advisory council, like we do with a handful of small businesses that transact on Lenovo.com. So we've been able to go facilitate those conversations. But I think, honestly, and with smaller organizations that don't necessarily have the human capital to go do that at scale, things like just being able to go data mine product reviews. If people are investing their time to give you feedback on something, you owe it to them to be able to go understand what they're saying, look at what they're saying, and improve on what they're asking you to improve on. Because there's all sorts of data sources out there where a single customer can provide good feedback, even if you're not asking them explicitly. And it's just a matter of putting the process and mechanics in place to support that.
Cool. So a question from the audience, and encourage anyone in the audience to go ahead and add questions through the Q&A panel. Here's one. When it comes to developing and executing on a customer experience vision, how do you stay focused every day? There's so many things to do. How do you know your efforts are working? I guess in your example of listening, how do you listen to every voice, or how do you know which voice to listen to? You're not sure beforehand. If maybe US Air wasn't sure beforehand that the video of the guitar being destroyed was going to get so much scale and visibility. So how do you pick which ones to focus on? Any thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, it's a good question. I think I think there are a number of tools out there that allow you to be able to go do some of these listening elements at scale and aggregate all the information to understand trends. So for small companies that don't necessarily have, as I said, the number of people to be able to go throw at as a Lenovo might, using some of the tools like I'm drawing a blank. I don't want to call it Radiant 7, but that's not it. Anyway, there are a number of social listening tools that allow you to be able to go sort of understand the general trending, keyword mapping, or keyword density on things that are happening, and then be able to go address some of the things that you're seeing that start to bubble up. The second one is, honestly, it comes down to hiring. To me, it's about hiring people who are very passionate about customers. And you can't teach someone to care about people. It really is innate. And we try to go find people that are really passionate about doing things right for the customer, having hard conversations on customers' behalves. And it really comes from that sort of innate sentiment towards being better in front of our customers. And the third thing is, I'm a dollars and cents guy, much more than an emotional guy. So, to me, there is a fairly good, I think that teams can start to develop a fairly good understanding of the economics of customer dissatisfaction, in terms of, if you don't improve dissatisfied customers, then you're going to see your overall revenue per visit continue to be under pressure. And what I mean by that is, I think we've done a good job of sort of evaluating for satisfied customers. We have a sort of revenue per visit baseline on our site. For dissatisfied customers, we have a revenue per visit baseline, and there's a delta between the two. So as we look at the economics around how we prioritize customer issues, that does help when you can understand that moving people out of the dissatisfied bucket into satisfied has a revenue per visit impact. And then you can start to go advocate or socialize with key stakeholders and get, frankly, investment dollars to go fix it.
Again, another example of the importance of data analytics, quantifying impact, and then taking action based on those results.
Exactly. Yes.
A couple of content-related questions have come in. Here's one. Where are you finding the best content to improve customer experience? Does it come from product marketing, digital teams, marketing org, knowledge base from support, or I guess I'll throw another one in there that wasn't included in the question, maybe directly from customers themselves?
I think honestly, I think it's all of the above. What the only thing I would say is probably the marketing to me is within our marketing channel, we use the content to go drive the marketing message, and so it is understanding all of those paid social, all the telemetry from organic and paid social, and that feedback. It's ratings and reviews. Product marketing, I would say, and I would say again, going back to this notion of finding people who are really passionate about solving customer needs internally. One of the things that we've had great conversations with our product marketing team around are how do we get away from this notion of developing product pages that are focused on speeds and feeds? How do we start to go develop things that develop content that is really focused around customers, and frankly, the customers that are using the products that the product team may not even have known about. And a good example of that is there are some products online where we would never have expected that software engineers would have used a workstation. That may be a bad example, but because we can data mine that through customer feedback on how are you using your products in our ratings and reviews process, then we can start to go work with the product content team that says, for this product and iterative products, we need to make sure that we're paying off the story for why is this good for software engineers? Why is this product good for learn from home, work from home? And even in the past, I would say 90 days, we've had an extraordinary amount of work that we put into how do we better communicate and market and talk to parents buying on behalf of children's ahead of the next back to school buying cycle. And we're using not only internal data points, but also external market data points to figure out what's important to these customers. How much do they care about value? How much do they care about fit and finish? How much do they care about this notion of how these products can help their children succeed? It's pretty varied, and interestingly enough, it actually varies based on where a child is in their K through 12 journey. But those are the kinds of things where it is a multitude of dimensions on things that we can go do, and it kind of changes based on the needs. But I'm sorry, that was a bit of a circuitous way to answer your question. But it's all over the place, honestly.
Super interesting, especially with the K through 12. It's such a transition point, with so many people, students, families having had their children either partially at home or entirely at home. This coming season will be really interesting. I'm sure that many of those families purchased earlier because they had to provide technology to their children while they were learning from home. But and a lot of students will be going back to school in the fall. But there's still sort of awakened a need for better and more technology. So the coming buying season for back to school will surely be really interesting in your industry.
Yes.
You guys publish content on YouTube, Instagram. You do any work on TikTok?
I would say all of the above, except we've talked about TikTok. I think we will be testing things on TikTok in Q2, which is our next fiscal quarter starts tomorrow. So we're going to be trying TikTok. I'm not the TikTok generation, but I like to watch some TikToks, and the line between being cringy and being having good content on TikTok is extraordinarily fine. So it's one of those things that we're going into with a little bit of trepidation, but I think we got a good plan for it.
A good place for customer feedback and analyzing, testing and learning.
Yes.
You talked about your Insights Hub, which I find to be really interesting. At Course 5, we frequently get involved in projects that we call data literacy, oriented around how do you get more people within an organization to adopt and use data. So any ideas, tips and tricks for encouraging people to be self-reliant when it comes to getting data or generating insights? Because otherwise the analytics team is just going to be a bottleneck because there's so much thirst for data.
Yeah, I think, well, with us, I mean, we've enabled it to some degree by actually putting, a customer experience metric in everybody's core KPIs, and actually as part of our incentive structure actually is a customer experience score. So everybody to some degree is empowered and encouraged to participate in this. I think, as I think about CX as an example, but more importantly, as I think about data in general, data is always going to be a bottleneck, quite honestly, because in organizations like ours, and I'm sure there in other organizations, there's a very limited amount of time that people whose daytime jobs is to actually go publish content or market content have to be able to go mine information out of data. So for us, it's really about how do you build the integrity of the data, and then more importantly, quite frankly, is how do you actually package up the insights in a really digestible way so that people who can make the change have the ability to go understand it quickly and then make decisions and implement change quickly. The more that you rely on individuals to go mine their own data and get insights on their own, the less you're going to see in terms of people who have the time to go do it, feel comfortable doing that, et cetera. So, the big part for me as I work with organizations like yours and our own internal organization is how do we make sure that we are building a data pipeline that can extract information and give those insights at a glance rather than requiring that people spend a lot of time getting into it.
Great. Another question from the audience. 100% agree with the building business on loyalty. Are you providing different customer experiences to repeat return customers, or is connecting purchases to the loyalty program the main hook?
Oh, let me take this. Anonymous attendee. Okay, hold on a second. 100%. Okay. That is the plan. I would say we started, the plan is to go differentiate, renew and repeat purchase journey and experiences. To date, loyalty, I think, is a mechanism to just keep people to come back and consider us for a purchase later on. There are some things that we're doing that I think are really interesting around community, around starting to go segment customers differently, buying customers differently, and start to go market to them differently. I would say we're just now starting on that journey. For us, it's certainly not as evolved as I think any of us would like it to be, but more to come on that in the near term. Yeah. I mean, I think there are a couple of things you can do, from changing the way the site how the site changes based on what we know about you and your profile, to how do we market to you or provide communications less about buy this other thing, more towards here's how to get the most out of your technology purchase. Sure. There are incentives to certainly spend more with us and can have you continue to have conversations. And then we have a fairly strong emerging community where we're encouraging our customers to talk to one another, talk to us in an ongoing way, to give us feedback. And so we have gaming community, small business community, and a student community right now, where we're helping provide great content about how technology is helping in those areas, but also providing a mechanism where they can talk to like-minded individuals or to us as part of their ongoing conversations with us.
Cool. All right. So last question, and it's related to this, the one that you just responded to. In that scenario where you're providing personalized content to returning customers, it may be important. There's a variety of ways to understand who they are and that they are returning, many of them cookie-based. So in scenarios where we don't have as much reliance on cookies, authentication becomes more important. Any thoughts on how to make people want to authenticate?
David, that's an interesting, this is one that we struggle with, because as I mentioned, we have an extraordinarily long purchase cycle, and our authentication rate online is single digits, quite honestly. And you can't rely on cookies because most of them expire before people come back. And so when it comes to authentication, it's really important not only to tie together all of these disparate properties into a single sign-on type of infrastructure where you don't have multiple places to go log on, but I think the important thing as a consumer is what's in it for me, right? So we really need to do a good job of being able to go talk to build a narrative around why we would ask them for an email, why we would ask them to go sign in. And it's really, for us, it's around being able to go provide you personalized information, to provide you with information on your previous order, to provide you information on the degree to which you've accrued rewards points, to allow you to sign up for exclusive types of opportunities. So I think we've tested a couple of iterations on how do we do that. I'm not satisfied that we've made all the progress we could, but it really comes down to how do you encourage what's in it for people, and how do you encourage them to spend the 30 seconds or so signing up for an email or signing into your website.
Incentive, what's in it for me?
Exactly.
I think that what you're wrestling with, regardless of the authentication rate, is something that a lot of businesses out there are wrestling with, and the businesses that find that figure out how to provide that motivation and then make it super easy, frictionless. Those are the ones that are going to be successful in providing these ongoing, retained kind of experiences. So one of the things that I'm consistently impressed with you guys is a phrase that you've uttered many times during our conversation today, and that is not satisfied. There's more to do. And so I would predict future success for you and your team because you're consistently looking for how can you grow, and specifically in the direction of the customer and their needs. And you're using data and analytics to do it. So super impressed. Love the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for joining with us today.
Well, thank you for the time, and thank you to everybody here for spending an hour or 45 minutes with us. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something, and I appreciate just being part of it.
As we close out, I hope everybody who attended today learned something new, something that they can take to their business in the near term and potentially in the long term. Of course, at Course 5, we're here working on many of the issues that we've been talking about, here to assist. You can reach us at info@course5i.com, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks all who attended, and thank you, Carlo.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.